Welcome to my Digital Brain podcast.
And today we're going to be talking about crypto and the future of payments with the CEO of Sended Markets. If you don't know what Sended Markets is, it is a platform that allows you to sell digital products in crypto, specifically in stable coins on a Solana network. Do you wish you could sell anywhere? And I mean anywhere in the world, even if you're in an emerging market like Africa or India. But things feel like there's so much bureaucracy and it's so hard for you to earn in US dollars.
And with the US in trillions in debt, Bitcoin seems to be a savior as it has become the fifth largest asset in the world.
This is the future, and the future of payments, and the future of doing business borderless. So I cannot wait for you to hear what Basil, the CEO of Sended Markets, has to say.
What's up, man? It's nice to have you on the podcast.
Likewise. It's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Yeah. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell us what you do and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Basil. I'm building Sended Markets, and I've been actually just sharing my journey. So it's a startup, and I've been sharing my journey actually on social media on how you build a startup with no experience. So sharing that entire journey. I am someone who has actually been in the digital entrepreneur space for over 10 years. So I used to be one of those e-com guys on Shopify. And then I jumped into this world of, crypto and things like that. And now I'm building the startup, which is Sended Markets. And that's essentially just a bank for any online entrepreneur. So people can just get paid in digital dollars from all over the world and can qualify for financing based on their business. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, I want to introduce myself a little bit. And by the way, what you're doing is great work. I think a lot of people should be looking into investing in crypto or growing their businesses where they can earn in stable coins. I think that's kind of the future, honestly. So I'm going to go ahead and just say, my name's Arles Coleman. A lot of people know me as Dr. Showman on the internet. I've created multiple businesses in terms of just creator brands and things like that, and figuring out how to create UGC or content for brands around my brands. So that's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. It's been a headache, but it's a learning curve to go from just being an entertainment creator to a value-based creator,
Right. Okay. So it's interesting that you've separated those two. Because that is the truth. One is obviously more focused on distribution, and they have their reasons for it.
Yeah.
The business model on that end is this. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's dependent on the quality of the distribution and how many conversions that you can, acquire for set brand that wants to work with you, right?
Yes, exactly. When you look at an entertainment content channel, it's so weird because the views are not always equal. I've noticed that on my value-based social media brands or personal brands, I would notice that even 100 views can convert more people if that content's super valuable. Versus if you have a video that's, let's say, for instance, a Mr. Beast type of video, right? Yeah. That might get a lot of eyeballs and that might get you brand deals, but there's always going to be a bigger creator with bigger numbers. And the only way to kind of keep yourself from ever falling down, even if your views go down, is to figure out how to convert your viewers into super fans, growing a list and building an actual business, like a service around those views.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I'm kind of curious, how did you get into all of selling online? Because I kind of wanted to make some content even, to get other online entrepreneurs, how they got into the space. I'm really always interested in that. Personally, for me, my journey started just from watching YouTube videos, and it was how to make first $10,000, right?
Oh, yeah.
Online. So that was my way of getting into things. I was and then that transition.
Oh, yeah.
That just it always increased, just always finding the next thing. But I'm always curious, other people, what's your story?
Yeah, my story, when I think about it, when I first started, I was doing reaction videos on YouTube.
Okay.
And I was thinking to myself, hey, this is going to make me to where I'm going to make millions of dollars, all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's just how we think. We're online trying to find a way to make money. And what I found out is that it caused copyright issues. So for 3 years straight, I made no money online, even though I was getting thousands of views, literally thousands. And I decided to walk away from that. I started around 2015, walked away from reactions around 2019 and started.
Well, you were early.
Yeah, yeah. So I started the process of like moving towards value-based content. Now I was kind of still doing like reactions here and there just to keep that audience kind of floating there. But then eventually I fully transitioned because it got to the point to where what I was doing with value-based content, like creating tutorials around how to do automations or how to use a specific AI tool. Once I got to that point and I was making more affiliate revenue from affiliate links and just brand deals surrounding that, it became to a point to where it's like, oh, there's no point in doing this anymore. And I would say around 2024 is where I saw the big shot, the big, I guess revenue on my end to where I could see this as like, oh, I can make a salary off this. Like this can be an actual career. 2024 was that marker for me. And it's hard as creators or as people who are trying to be entrepreneurs, as you know, it's really hard to get to that point if you don't have a clear plan. So I would
Yeah.
say from 2019 to 2024, I was just
See,
completely gutting what I knew about business and
but so you were the one you were making basically whether it was AI UGC content
yeah.
or just regular like UGC content
Hmm.
around affiliate brands, right?
Exactly.
Because I think there's like a marketplace where you can whether I think it was like ClickBank. That was one of them
Yes,
that
I did start with ClickBank, and then I
yeah.
realized, like, wait a minute, I can make more if I just create digital products and tie those
Right.
affiliate links in those digital products. And that's what I started doing, like going on
Yeah.
Gumroad, Icons, you name it. I listed it there, Etsy.
But all of this is like a process, you know? And all of this is like about you going in there and kind of like discovering it as you go and just learning all of this stuff, right? And then I think like obviously at the end what's the most important is just like sticking through it.
Yeah.
Would you say that you like all of what you've learned, right? Like over the course of the 4 or 5 years that you've been through it, right? Like you're experienced enough now where obviously you're telling me you've gone to a point where in 2024 you're like, okay, I've been able to unlock it to where now this is how I can make it my salary out of, right? Like a consistent income out of this, right? Like that knowledge that you have, right? That experience that you have alone is worth so much. You know, in that 4 or 5 years of where it's like where you've seen transition. Do you feel like also that experience puts you in a position where you can be like where you can already see the next 4 years or 5 years where things could be shifting and that experience can help you adjust and adapt to tap into those other things as well?
Yes, exactly. And that's where it gets scary because I've noticed that things like trends on the internet change so quickly now. What you did 6 months ago doesn't even work anymore. I've had to change my marketing strategy probably, I want to say 3 times since 2020 when I started to go value based to 2025. Like, it's pretty crazy how the internet just changed what creatives work. Like, you can make a
Mm.
creative with that CTA, with the comment, like very specific, right? Like, you're sitting at a coffee table with that angle shot saying this is how you make 10,000 a month or whatever from digital products. Then you have that automation with the CTA and people say what you put them to do and it sends out those auto DMs. And then it gets to a
Right.
point to where you notice, dang, the DMs that I have sending out don't even work anymore. Like I have to like literally go and change the copy or.
Mm.
So those are like those specifics where it's like you have to always be watching like, okay, what's working and what stopped working and how can I do this better than I did before or from a different angle. Yeah.
I agree. I would say so at some point also in the e-commerce time, in the e-commerce days, when I was doing it back in 2017, 18, 19, always, you would go ahead and you'd have to test like tons of ad creatives to see which one was going to get you the best results. And then you would use that data, right, on Facebook ads to see which one got you the most leads, which your conversion, what's your cost per acquisition, this, and that. Right? And then it got to a point where if I wanted to scale, right? I needed to scale the value of my brand. So then I realized like I needed to move around. I needed to move away from this, okay, finding what one product was selling for like that period of 6 months to then transitioning to like, no, let me own this brand, a house where fine, they can go and find these products on Amazon or wherever it is, right? Like, and the other thing is like, I need to separate myself where the customer who lands on my page is end up just going to think that this is the original brand that makes it, whether I go buy it from Amazon and with a different brand name, but the UI UX or the way the platform looks like, the way the social media with the social proof, how they go about it, this is the original company, right? And it was obviously through UGC content as well, which is what kind of like separated you from other brands, what helped. And then this is where you can bring upsells and other those other things. Do you see also in like your digital products forms where you have to use these different marketing tactics and techniques to be able to upsells? And did you like you built a digital brand around yourself, right? And your experience, right? So what would you say is something that like identifies like what it is that you like, what makes your brand right now? Like share with us like your brand.
Yeah, what makes my brand right now, I guess, click for people out there that find the value in it is that there's a lot of people that it's hard for them to keep up with these new AI tools and how they can implement it with, say, Adobe Premiere or with Blender 3D. And like I said, from 2020 to 2024, basically, and still now, I'm stacking skills. And then I slowly roll out these tutorials around these specific skills or tools or editing techniques that people actually need to make sure they stay ahead. And I went out of my way to like kind of like even orchestrate my algorithm around that, like my Instagram, my YouTube, every time I go on, just so I can keep up. But I'm kind of packaging it up for them, like maybe in a digital product or guide. And then those people who are part of my email list keep coming back because they know that reliably I'm going to always keep up with this, maybe even more than they will. And they're willing to pay for that digital product, or they're willing to, watch my content, which leads to more leads for my business and consulting. So that's what I feel like, to go back to your original question too, that's why I feel like 5 years out, I still can be ahead of the game because I'm going to always try to keep up with, especially with the AI stuff booming, I'm going to keep learning these tools, as they crank out, I'm going to keep trying to figure out, okay, how can someone implement this into their business, or how can they implement this into their creator personal brand? However, how can I teach them how to sell products better? That's my main goal.
Okay. So on one side, you have more than one business, is what it sounds like also.
Well, I mean, they kind of rope in, because I will say that value-based content ties in to the consulting and also ties into those digital products, right? Like that all ties in. It's just the content's the lead engine.
Do you see like, what is your top of funnel? Like, do you see the content that you create on social media be the top of funnel where a customer would come basically and he's like, oh man, I'm seeking a service. I have a company. You seem to know how to go about creating this AI UGC, or specifically in that one video that I saw, I would need consulting or service provided here. So you also, and on the side, also provide that. You have a business where you do consulting and provide that as a service, besides your passive income products that you've already generated and created once, that's now out on the marketplace. So now people from your top funnel lead of videos go ahead and
find them on Etsy and all these. Now, I will say Gumroad doesn't really have an algorithm. Etsy does. And that's where sometimes, that's why the top of funnel is still important, because for Gumroad, I know that sometimes I have to just directly lead them to Gumroad. I can't always, rely on Gumroad to recommend it because they just don't have a good recommendation engine. I don't think that's still necessary. Like if you use a listing platform just to have it out there somewhere else, some people don't want to find stuff on social media. Some people will dig. So I would say that's still useful. Beacons is the same way. It doesn't really have a recommendation engine, but they have a robust email newsletter system that I use. And I just go ahead and list my products there too. But Etsy by far has been the biggest lead engine I've ever had. Just due to the fact that it's already a marketplace with a really great recommendation engine. And I will say this to you, it depends on if your team can do this or has already done it. But for Send It, does it have a recommendation engine? Because that could give you a leg up to really compete with Beacons and Pro too.
I think what separates Etsy's ability to give you such a great recommendation engine is the data, right? So like why Etsy has that is because it's so rich in data. Of course, like what Etsy was in the beginning to where it is now was it transitioned so many times to where it found that PMF in its business, right? And now Etsy's a marketplace similar to eBay, but it's kind of like individual entrepreneurs or individual, like, like home-based entrepreneurs just sit there and just want to start selling that. Yeah. And I know that they popped off in COVID. Yeah. They went like, that's when they like blew up. Yeah. They blew up there. Now for Send It, like we're kind of having more of a bigger picture for what it is that we want. Now, sure, what you're experiencing on the platform is the beta version. This is just to basically say, okay, like, do we have interest in certain creators that do want to get paid in stable coins for their products and services, but more so also to enable those that come from these emerging markets, right, from Africa, Southeast Asia, LATAM, the ability also to go and list on these platforms without imposed any of those long KYC verification checks, right? And we give you your banking information so you can start getting your payouts on the same day and those things, because that's where we see there's a lot of activity for those stable coins. Now, moving forward for what it's going to become is essentially just the hub. We're going to be removing these terms, stable coins, these crypto words, because we've realized that someone who comes from Web2, once you start hinting these different terminology, most people get confused. You want to reduce, as a marketer yourself, right? As a marketer yourself, right? When you're going making call to action for a creative, you're trying to like choose grade 1 level English, right? It's like, what can I say that's going to, what are the 3 words that I'm going to say where it's like, as he reads it, he knows what it is. I don't want my customer to think.
And then
right?
get confused, and then maybe they just decide not to interact and leave.
Right. Anything that sparks anything that makes you curious enough to want to ask a question, to want to take action, that, in my opinion, is a good message. But any message that makes you ask, what did that mean? That's not a good call to action. Yeah. That's kind of how I separated the way I do things.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something I have to internalize every day as a creator myself. Sometimes I have to sit down and realize, okay, maybe this is too wordy. Maybe this is too much. Maybe this doesn't get the message across directly. And I love that you're saying that as a founder, because I feel like so many entrepreneurs and creators, founders need to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be able to reach the end customer, I mean, like for a two-sided marketplace, where even just for you guys, like as sellers that are on the platform, like how do I make this where it's going to be beneficial for the customer, for the customer that wants to get on the platform? Now, the number one thing is, as a merchant, previous merchant, and you as a merchant yourself, what is your number one priority? Is to make sure the customer is happy. Like the value is being reached to the customer, and he's having the smoothest experience as he's going to buy my product. Exactly. Right. And that is what we're working towards to finish and complete right now. Right. Because once, before I go ahead and start telling you, Arliss, go ahead, just FYI, now the platform is ready to that point. Then this is where we can start doing collaborations with all other creators. So it's a long road to build a startup. It's just actually this is something that I've come to find out and learn. And in your space, because I've been in that space, your iteration to get your feedback loop to figure out whether you want to keep trying something is so quick, right? You're like, oh, okay, it's sold. That means I'll keep it, right? Or I'll change the ad to make it this, right? You figure out your path to revenue is much faster. While on the startup side, it's kind of it's the long 2-year path, and you can start generating revenue, but is it enough to start being able to pay all the expenses that you have, right? It involves, how do you go get investors? How do you talk it and position the platform? It involves so many backdoor things. It's but that's what, I'm learning. I'm excited about it. But yeah, I mean, if you have any questions even on that end,
yeah, and that's a greater reward, right? Going through those periods of where you have to figure out stuff. And really, these are hard problem-solving things, right? Because on my end, I'm just leveraging a platform. You're literally building a platform. That's a whole nother level, right? You have to figure out all these different things, like you said in the beginning, like cost acquisition, how to improve operations. I can't even imagine.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly. You have so many different things. It's if you're just going from an idea. Yeah. To then realizing that, oh, well, now I need to get people who are going to believe me on that idea. I have to go and convince them. Wait, I have to go and now get a pitch deck. No, wait, now I have to go get an individual who's going to believe with me, and he's going to be the CTO who's going to go ahead and be like, you know what, Basil, I also believe you. So now let's go build a team about this, try and build it. It's don't worry, I'm going to do this part, that part. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But it's also exciting because even though the path is longer, I'm genuinely doing this because I want to make the experience for people to make money online much easier, genuinely, right? Because I come from that. And I really, I even have parents that come from, third world country, and I have family that from there. So I know the experience for those people who want to start, the internet is giving us access to knowledge, right? And now you don't need a fucking college degree. Excuse my life. I don't use my degree. You just go online and learn and make money.
Yeah. It's crazy. I told my 15-year-old nephew, he's like, I want to sell art. And I was like, dude, if you want to sell art, you could start today, man. I will help you get a laptop. Like we could help you get started, because I love seeing people who have talents and they don't realize that they can already leverage this thing, like you said, the internet to start today. It doesn't have to be something you wait like a week, 2 weeks. You can start today, even with something so small. You can even they're selling products without even using social media. Okay. They're just posting on Pinterest and posting on Etsy or whatever, and or creating apps from AI. So, the world's changing so quick, and hearing your story and how you want to enable that to be faster and smarter than, going through a traditional bank loan system, which can be predatory at times and inflationary. I love the idea of selling in stable coins and then going to get these crypto backed loans. That's way better. And that's really what attracted me the most, to be honest.
So it
Sell
was the loan.
Well, that part too, but to sell in a more secure way too. If you think about it, this money, for the most part, is going to grow year over year in the crypto market if you convert it to Bitcoin versus if you were just to earn in USD and then you have to go through all the fees to transfer it to Bitcoin. I think it's actually cheaper from what I've looked up. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it's cheaper if you earn in stable coins and then swap it to Bitcoin.
Of course, of course. And you just have access to many other markets that you're already on chain.
Yeah.
So for you to like, you can take your pick at that point. And there's tons of platforms where they'll just offer you the best rates to be able to do that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, and yeah, and like crypto, while most people might know it for the speculative parts of it with meme coins and all these other things, there's like the ability that you can earn in stable coins, which is like now, someone in Africa can earn in dollars
Yeah.
for the same, like I kind of am curious for you, like where do you see the next 5 years in terms of like skill levels and where people are going to be offering their services? Do you think certain expectations, depending on where you come from, do you think that those are still going to be valued at different rates depending on geolocation?
Since the world is kind of changing, and we're not going to get too political here, but we're quickly becoming a multipolar world, right? So I do see more people in other countries maybe getting to that faster adoption of selling in stable coins or things like that, and maybe having more Bitcoin than they have in other currency.
I'm saying even more on like the skill level,
Just
right?
on the skill level, yeah.
Just on the skill level.
On a skill level, that's hard. I want to say that it's getting easier and easier for people to create. Are you in terms of just people creating apps or creating?
Yeah, like quality of apps, quality of like the courses or whatever that's being made, right? The quality of the content that's being generated. I personally feel like, it's because of social media, because of the distribution of social media, it's almost as if now we're creating this new culture of the new standard of what type of content consumers take in, right? That if I go and hire somebody from a different country, right? And I ask him to build me a piece of content, whether it's an AI UGC about my brand,
Yeah.
right? And I need it to be funny, for example.
Yeah.
That individual will be like, oh, okay, cool. Like I already know what would convert because this is the standard of what works online,
Yeah.
right? And you can make it relatable to where it could be Western, in the terms of like the comedy or whatever it is, right? And he's all the way in Philippines and he's grown up all his life over there, right? But the reason why I'm saying this is because it's like that value of the content is not going to be based anymore on like where you come from, but the value that you charge people is going to be based on the quality of your work rather.
Yeah, I do agree with that. In a lot of ways, I would say the skill level would be maybe you're creating proof of work as a separate personal brand. Maybe it's entertainment, whatever, and that's tied to that value based personal brand, right? So I have Digital Brain. My Digital Brain is all about, like I said before, teaching people about AI tools, video editing, and things like that. But what a lot of people don't know is that I do still do stuff on the entertainment side, meaning on horror story video with AI, and then I tie that video to my value based content and say, this is a cool horror story video that I made that got 50,000 views. Let me show you how to do it. And then I go, that's my hook pretty much, right? And then
Okay.
I showed the tool and things like that. But that fuels that, even though it's weird because it converts my lead better if they go back and watch it They'll go back and watch that video and then come back to the video and kind of build it from that value-based perspective, like step by step, but they'll go watch it just to see social proof, which I've noticed
Okay, yeah.
increased my views over there. So I'm like, that could be kind of neat. I wondered why Mr. Beast never did it, why he never did like a behind the scenes channel. Maybe he doesn't want to put his secrets out there. But that would be cool if Mr. Beast put a behind the scenes channel, right? That shows exactly step by step how he created the full video production and everything. But he doesn't do it much, you know.
I mean, I think he's doing like maybe like 4 videos out at the same time. Like there's like maybe I think he has like 4 different production companies at the same time working with him.
Yeah.
I mean, his brand is his brand. You know, it's just like you go to his brand and you know what you're getting. You're getting entertainment.
Oh,
20, 30 minutes. It's going to be this crazy challenge.
yeah.
That's all he wants it to be. But yeah, yeah. It's interesting though how even as a content creator as yourself, right? So how many like followers do you have?
I would say across, because my entertainment brands, right? This is where things get kind of crazy. I have a horror channel, I have a camping channel, but these are all faceless channels and they have affiliate links and things like that, and they generate revenue. But I use that revenue to pay people on Upwork, like I outsource contractors to help me make those videos. So that is like a certain part of my funnel, but I still consider that part of the top funnel, right? Like
Yeah.
the value-based video.
Man, that is incredible. See, like, what would you say is like the whole reason why I want to say this is like, did you need to learn any of this like from some college, or like did you need any money to start all of this capital initially? Like, what was it that, like, how much would you say how much capital would someone really need to start something like this in the beginning? Like, just say like maybe just one, yeah.
To be straightforward, you need at least $80 to start. $80. It's like $80. $80. But it is seeking the right knowledge, right? You're gonna need skills like knowing how to delegate. Sounds
Yeah.
crazy. I learned that from Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
More hands is better than 2 hands, right?
Yeah.
Other sets of hands or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I want to say that starting off, it was hard because people are gonna rip you off when you're hiring contractors, right? They're gonna rip you off when you're trying to get this video cost down to here. So I said, okay, I got to figure out these. That's actually where learning the AI tools came about for me. Because I was like, dang, this video costs $80 and this editor is complaining because he has to do all these other things for myself. So I was like, okay, what if we just made the voiceover AI? What if we just made the script AI? I send them over to him, and now I have a person that actually, generates it and sends it over, the VA. But at first, to keep the costs low, I was like, dang, that's $80 for each video. What if I just did the script and voiceover for that person? And then at some point I got a VA, they send it in over. At this point, a video for me, dollar cost averaging is probably like, for an AI generated video for those channels. And I'm talking, they're pretty good. They're not just slop, right? Like we actually put our own animations in them and stuff like that. We've gotten the cost down to about $25 for a quality video, even though it uses AI and a voiceover. We're still building these channels, right? Testing, trying to see what works. But for the most part, it's been show of proof for the value-based brand. At some point, we will expand them, though, to where they're just their own entity.
Okay, so you take the content that you've now generated. Obviously, it's like you could repurpose content 100 times, right?
Yeah.
So then do you have that then distributed on like how many platforms? Is it just YouTube Shorts? Is it Reels, or is it full?
This is where things got complicated because costs were getting too high for me, to be honest, at some point, trying to distribute to the other platforms and repurpose them. Now, it is only worth it if that specific niche and specific brand will convert from YouTube over there, because these videos were long form at first. So I was like, okay, these are 4 to 5 minute videos. How do we convert this and condense it into a creative over here? The problem with that was camping niche isn't really that super huge on Instagram. So we're like, yeah, let's just stick to YouTube. But then what I found is and I still have that reaction channel. I'm just not as in it. And we do more, music specific stuff sometimes. And it's still related back to that value-based, personal brand. What we do is, why don't I just make like videos pointing up at viral songs that are good? Because people already come here to see me react to music, right? It's how we translated it over to TikTok. And then I noticed on TikTok, we got 100,000 views. And then on Instagram, we got another 3,000 views. So some stuff converts and some stuff doesn't. So it just depends on what the niche is. And sometimes you can force it, right? Like sometimes you're so big on YouTube, you could just tell those people to go over there, but sometimes it just doesn't work. We tried it so many times with our big camping faceless product videos. And I guess people just don't want to watch product show something.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to
Yeah.
that point, but my production, like I have to get to that level, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually even so it's true because if I was going to like segment different types of audiences, it's really also important to understand the audience and what platform they go ahead and you know spend times on. Like I mean, Twitter for me is like the audience on Twitter is just completely different than TikTok, Instagram. I feel like maybe Twitter is a little out of touch, you know, with like the retail individual, with the retail world. I feel like Twitter is mostly a lot of, not in a bad way, it's just like if you want actually like high net worth, high conversions of like business, I think like Twitter is a very good place to go and do business.
I don't know if you looked on my Twitter, some of my threads, but I've had some high converting tweets there using Hype Fury as an automation. I haven't fully set it up yet. I plan to do that sometime this month because I had one tweet that led to me getting like 30 emails and it didn't have that many likes. But I guess I looked at the views. I said, well, I guess it's still converted on that tweet. So I was like, but it's the scarcity post, right? You know what I'm talking about where it says retweet, like, and share to get, so I made a couple of those. They actually convert pretty well. So that's true what you're saying about X, Twitter.
Yeah.
It really has that. You can really put something valuable on there and people interact with it. They will go to your newsletter and all your socials.
Yeah, I would say if you're a service-based business even, like and you highlight like it's extremely easy to get clients. It's like you probably have the highest conversion of getting clients directly. Like if you were just a one-man show, Twitter would be a great place to go do it. Now, converting obviously to Instagram, maybe you can tell me wrong, but like Instagram is more millennials. I'm feeling the vibe like it's more millennial, but it's retail, right? It's retail. They're ready to spend money. They're interested in learning, education stuff as well, obviously, shopping. This is like that's Instagram and TikTok. I'm still kind of like trying to figure out, but TikTok is different, completely different.
Their algorithm is so for you, like it's so personalized. I feel like it's for everybody. That's the hard part about
I
that.
haven't used the see the thing is like I actually haven't used TikTok in so long. I haven't used it actually. I'm like a millennial, so I'm the millennial on the Instagram. Apparently, I'm a week.
I'm 29, so I consider myself a young millennial.
I'm 31. I just turned 31. Yeah, but so that's kind of like how I've been seeing things. It's interesting. The reason why I asked you initially, like about how if you can share about how much it took you to start, how much if someone wanted to start. The reason why is because I want to make sure that this information is out there where it's like it's relatable for people.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Fine. Now it's even easier because not only it takes you $80, maybe it's cheaper because of the AI video generating abilities, right?
Yeah.
But also you have people like Arliss who can guide you, right? Like if someone was to like reach out or even just go through the different programs that you have, right? Like that's the information that's there, right? The information is there, the opportunity is there, and I kind of just want to accelerate this ability for people to just go make money online.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's possible. You don't need to. You can start from fucking zero.
You can start
DMing people on Twitter and be like, just posting random and just DM Twitter like, hey, you need an intern, and then just be like, okay, and then be like, hey, I'll write threads about you or whatever it is that you do, right? Just start collecting a little bit of dollars here and there, and then go invest it in some other business ideas.
Yeah, literally, you can start from nothing, and I love that you understand that because I feel like there's a huge set of people, and this is gonna suck to say. I'm not gonna say this in a way that we're better than anybody, right? But I really think when AI accelerates and the internet economy really accelerates, because we're really not at the peak. We're really just getting started. I told people years ago, Mr. Beast is so huge, all these other creators are so huge, but we're not at the peak because we don't have that many people still on the internet. Like you said, these rising countries like Africa. I was looking at Africa some years ago in India. India has over 1 billion people. And not all of them are, they've started to get on the internet, right? We've started to see some big creators in that area. But Africa is like another whole ball game where it's just going to explode. And we're not going to see it coming, right? So I want to tell people now that learn these skills now, learn these skills now before it's too late, because there will be a point where it might be harder for you to transition because the learning curve is so steep and the quality of creators are going to grow. The it's going to get to a point to where maybe you can't start with just filming from your iPhone unless it's a super specific niche. So it is going to get harder. And I felt it getting harder since 2015. It's not the same. YouTube's not the same as 2015. I remember back then you had those creators where you could just set up a camera and just talk
Right.
and grow. Now it's not that simple. You might have to make the content specific to a certain hook to convert that viewer to even just being a viewer. We're not even talking about converting a product, just to watching your channel. So the game is much harder now, for sure.
I think there's been actually a rise of, I'm going to say this on the YouTube front.
Yeah.
On the YouTube front, I feel like there has been more appetite for individual based content, like so individual, like personable based content that's also value based. I've been seeing a lot of like, where people who are like, it's like less editing and more about the story and the journey. Whether it's like people like Dalen, I don't know if you've seen his
I
type
like
of
his content, yeah.
right? Or like these travel YouTubers who will go and like go film for 50 minutes, like traveling in the streets of China, right? But it's just unedited, it's just raw. And I think like, because people are hungry for these long form content as well. I think actually long form content is coming back, in my opinion, because the AI, like there's just an abundance of AI content. I think slowly that content is going to start becoming more and more like distinguishable, in my opinion, where people are going to start dismissing it. And
that is true, and that's something that
it's like, oh, it's AI, it's AI. I don't care. It's AI. I don't care. You know, it's like, so it's like the value of that is going to start decreasing as we have more and more and more, right? Like, I mean, you call it AI slop.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because that was the hard part, right? When I first started those channels over on the entertainment side, I was like, okay, this is cool for now, but we cannot stay like this. Like, we know that this is coming to an end, right? So we started implementing things like, because, there is faceless creators out there like Magnates Media. We took some notes from him, making that video really robust, and then making sure that, using the right AI voiceover tool to make it sound realistic enough and with the nuances to where we can make it like human content, but faceless, right? Just like Magnates Media. But you can't rely on just like in video. I don't know if you heard of that in video model that, it's just not good enough. And even if it got good enough, people can still tell. So it's like, let's value ourselves on making these handmade motion graphics in our video. And even if the voiceover is, they can slightly tell it's not human, they'll forgive us just because of how good the video is itself. Information is inaccurate. We still edit our scripts too. We don't just solely rely on scripts. So I see what you're saying. Like, people are going to value that authentic content over AI content, period, point blank. But if someone can figure out how to make it as less AI as possible, but just using that AI as a tool, I think that's where people can really grow an empire.
I think it's just people also, I think we can agree, it's just like the quality is just going to be, people are going to be able to just understand which is good quality and what's bad quality. I think, and I think that is just going to like fork, where you're just going to end up having people who are like, okay, yeah, that's AI, but that's some really good quality AI, right? And then that's going to be in its own category rather than like, okay, right, like, oh, this is shit. I mean, just swipe away. But yeah, I mean, honestly, man, it's been nice catching up and getting to know, creators that are on Send It, and then also creators that just, like, you made your way. You know what I mean? Like, you're in my opinion, like, similar to me. You're an online hustler. Like, you started that way, pick up some skills, you build a business around it. Now you're telling me you have like 5 different 10 funnels, and then they all kind of like intertwine and they all have their offers here and there. I'm very excited to just, anybody can start this. This is the whole point.
Yeah, literally anybody. And that's the big thing. I really I hope that people will see this podcast and really do want to try out Send It and put their content or their digital products there and give it a try, because it's better to be on a platform like Send It than it is Gumroad. That's going to take 30%. If you're going to start, go ahead and put it on Send It. Why not?
I appreciate it. And the thing is like with building Send It, I'm trying my hardest to try to make it the complete product that I want it to be. It's just that to keep in mind also, when you start a startup, you have to go through these beta versions that sometimes things don't work, right? But the idea is, the platform is to put something out there to show that there is appetite for a platform like this. And the journey to build the final product always takes time. And that's all I can say for now. But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
It was great being on this podcast with you. Would love to have you on again sometime. And
I appreciate it. Just hit me up. We can chat here and there. And what's it called? I want to check out all this funnels that you have. I want to check out your YouTube and all this stuff. So
yeah, I'll send you some of my stuff. And yeah.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye, guys.